Hey pal! Hey pal!
Hey pals, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to wherever you may be. Whatever time it may be, it is good to have you, as always, in the collective colloquial here. Eric McFarlane here in the Hey Pal radio studio, diving into all things Aussie women's hoops, taking a gander at this part of the year through the NBL 1 across the land. But forget across the land, forget across the sea, we're across continents. A quick shout out to our 3x3 Kangaroos who are on their way as we record to Poland for the upcoming 3x3 World Cup. I'm excited to see how the gang fare on the grand stage. Of course, in the last episode, we had a great chat with Marina Whittle. But if you are new to our show through that or another recent episode, we've had great chats in the archives with Emma Clark and Hannah Hank from the team as well. So they're well worth checking out, as are many of our great chats and guests in the archives. Speaking of which, our guest today is a young star who has experienced heartbreak and triumph in a very short period of time. A champion figuratively and literally who is on the comeback trail. Did you guess who it was from our Instagram clue? Well, if you didn't, fear no more, because here we are. Our guest after this break is Micah Simpson from the NBL 1 South's Ballarat Miners. Our guest on this episode is a rising star in the Australian basketball scene, and it's funny to say a rising star because they already have a WNBL Championship ring. Of course, on the road to recovery at the moment after an annoying and tragic injury in January. Still around the Ballarat community, of course, we talk about the NBL 1 Souths and WNBL's Micah Simpson. Micah, hey pal.
Hello, how are you?
Doing well, thank you. And I know we were speaking before we hit record. Things seem to be progressing pretty well in the recovery. How's things faring on that front? For those unaware, there was just the unfortunate ACL tear in January, but things have progressed well.
Yeah, no, things are coming along really well, actually. I had my surgery like mid to late February, and yeah, my pain honestly since then, touch wood, has been pretty good. Yeah, I'm progressing really well. I've started running the past 2 weeks now, and starting to like really push some weight in the gym. My physio back in Bendigo has been absolutely amazing. Yeah, I owe a lot to him for how far I've come, but my surgeon was really happy with how I'm tracking, so that's been really positive.
That's awesome to hear, and awesome to hear that things have like sort of progressed physically in that way as well. You're able to do more without wanting to jinx anything. Of course, again, touch wood. Do you feel as though it's on track with where you thought you'd be at this stage?
Yeah, for sure. I think running at about the 12-week mark was always a goal of mine, and it probably wasn't necessarily looking like that was going to happen. And then my physio joked with me about how when he said that, I just was like going to bed every night dreaming about like his face and wanting to punch it in. So eventually I got to running at 12 weeks, but I think it's a hard one. Like you do put a lot of timelines and I guess restrictions or limits on when you want to achieve things by, but that's not really how it works with a long-term injury. Like it can fluctuate week to week. You might reach a goal a week earlier than anticipated, but then something else holds you back, so you might delay that goal, reaching that goal by a week, and then eventually it evens out anyway. So I think we've been pretty good of not putting a lot of time pressure on certain achievements and big milestones during the rehab, and just kind of taking it day by day and seeing how I'm progressing, which at the moment has been really good.
That's I think the key thing that people, you look at, I guess, the athlete or the player, not necessarily the person behind it. People see it as just a physical recovery, but there's a high importance to the mental aspect of coming back there as well. How important has that been in sort of that support from a psychology standpoint there on the rehab trail?
Yeah, it's definitely important. I actually just graduated with my Bachelor of Psychological Science last year, so I'm lucky to have a little bit of knowledge around it all. Not much, but enough, I feel like. And I know enough people that have been through the same thing, family, friends, teammates that have all reached out and kind of given me some pointers of how to go about things. And obviously, there's bad days, and that's kind of natural. That happens in life as it is. But I feel like I came to terms with it pretty quickly, because I think if you don't, you get lost in this space of like, why me? I should be doing this, I should be doing that, but that's just not the reality of the situation anymore. So I was pretty quick to come to terms with it. the night of and kind of leading up to surgery, I let myself feel all the feels. And ever since surgery, I've been pretty locked in. And like we said, in terms of basketball, it's a pretty horrific injury and not one anyone wants to go through. But in terms of life, it's like people go through so much worse. And I know that I'm going to play basketball again and I'm going to come back better. So that's kind of how I've been trying to look at it.
That's awesome. And it's awesome that you've got such a great support network, all those people you mentioned, but also your own support network and having that understanding as well. So it's, I spoke about it there. You've already achieved so much in such a young career as well, but obviously setbacks like that bring a maturity and an understanding and awareness to that. And, obviously sounds like things are going on the right track. So I'm glad to hear that. Speaking of the right track, you did get a chance to sort of break away from a game a little bit. You went on holiday. How was that?
Yeah, it was unreal. It was actually our first family holiday out of Australia. So we went to Vietnam for a couple of weeks, which was it was unreal and something we all absolutely loved and have spoken about nearly every day since we went away. So yeah, it was really nice to have that time with my family and probably a time that I wouldn't have had or got to enjoy as much if I was still playing. When you go on holiday, you're always thinking about I should be working out or I should be doing this, I should be doing that. So yeah, it was nice just to fully decompress and enjoy that time with my family.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, especially when you back-to-back seasons, generally speaking, and things like that. Any key highlights or any tips for anyone going to Vietnam anytime soon that they've got to check out? Anything stick out at the top of the memory?
Honestly, the food. Like, I'm a big foodie, and the food over there was unreal and super cheap. So I definitely recommend Vietnam for anyone wanting to travel.
All right, done. Tick. I'll have. I was about to write that down, and then I remember we're recording this, so I don't have to do that. So you're still around the Ballarat community, obviously, and that's how Zach and the team there at Ballarat has helped to put this together. Obviously, I'm new to the Ballarat community as well, jumping behind the desk this season. So before we get into Ballarat as a whole, what's sort of your role look like around the team at the moment? Because obviously you're still going to the game, still offering that support, but and also speaking obviously, to your past with Ballarat, you've been always heavily involved with community and the coaching and that side of things. So what's your role look like at the moment for the Miners?
Yeah, I think it's probably obviously a little bit different to what I had planned for it to be this season. So I'm actually spending the first half of the week in Bendigo, and then the later half of the week in Ballarat. So
Okay.
I normally go to one training a week and then to the games when I can. But I honestly, like the round one, I had like a good hard look at myself because you don't really feel like going, right? Like you should be
Yeah.
playing. You just reminded of what you're missing out on almost. And then like showing up is really important to me, and I feel like I live through that most days, and especially when things get tough. Like I always come back to just showing up and how much that means to me, whether that's for myself or for other people. And I think showing up at those games, it's not about me. Like it's about the team and what Ballarat has given me, and I care a lot about the girls and how this team goes. So yeah, I kind of, when it's hard and you don't feel like going, I kind of just come back to that. And I do love Ballarat, like you said, the community, the people that are involved here, they care so much, and I really align with that. So yeah, I love it here.
You talk about that care and it could be very easy because obviously that's I'm very new geographically to Victoria, but it's a heck of a commute that I think many people would forgive you for saying, look, I'm in the middle of rehab, I'm going to stay in Bendigo and get that sorted. So tell me a little bit about what that community means to you, that those values aligning, as you just said, and sort of that background in terms of why it's so important for you to be there and show up.
Yeah, I honestly think it stems from like growing up in Tassie, like that smaller community that, you create a family when it's like that, and everyone, there's no guarantee of what you're going to get out of it, but you're just all committed to something and you show up for each other day in and day out. And obviously wins are important, but seeing the kids after the game or running into parents of the kids that you coach, like that's the stuff that really means a lot to me. So I know that I can continue that whether I'm playing or not. And then hopefully, if I do come back and play next year at Ballarat, then those relationships and those bonds would have carried over.
That's awesome, and you're right. The community, only been there a cup of coffee myself, but you can feel that energy and that I don't want to say spirit because that's tied to a Bendigo terminology, but you know what I mean. There's that spirit around the club and the community there. You dropped the T-bomb there. You talked about Tasmania, so tell me a little bit how you first got into basketball, growing up into the game, and was there a moment where you kind of went, all right, cool, yeah, this is something that I really enjoy doing?
Yeah, I think both of my parents played basketball, and I actually have a twin brother and an older brother. But me and my twin my parents coached both of our teams when we were younger, so we trained together. My mum coached me up until about under 16s, and then it started becoming like state programs and national tournaments and whatever that looked like. But it's always been basketball for me. I never really branched out too much, and I think that's just because I loved it. Like, you love the friendships, you love the people, but I really enjoy like the skill of basketball. Like, me and KG joke all the time because she like it could be any sport and she could just like go and do it. But for me, it's like specifically basketball because I would go and work out for hours and have the best time, and it would I don't know. It's just like really enjoyable for me. So I've always wanted to do something that I enjoy. And it was like went through the state pathway, played NBL one for Launceston, and then Kennedy recruited me to be a development player at Bendigo, which feels like forever ago now, which is crazy. But there was this kind of space of like, do you go to college? Do you try and play WNBL? Because in that moment, WNBL feels like so far away. Like when you're just coming out of year 12 and everything feels overwhelming. You don't really know what direction your life is going to go in. But one thing I just stayed true to was that I did love basketball and I loved my family. So going to college didn't really feel like an option to me. So I was just going to do whatever I could to put myself in a position to play WNBL. And luckily it all aligned for me.
Talk us through that decision, because obviously with WNBL wanting to be that goal, when you've got, Kennedy Kereama, who is an absolute weapon of a human being, let alone coach, saying, hey, Leah, look, we're interested. We want to invest time in you. That's got to give you some, guiding lights that, yeah, you're on the right pathway here. Like, this is, you're on the way to your goal there. So, when that decision comes about where you could probably still take other options that are away from family, things like that, is that sort of going, okay, well, that's the validation. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but that's a validation that this may be the path for me?
Yeah, I think so. It was almost like a maybe I am good enough type thing. And like when someone believes in you, and I feel really lucky that I've had Kennedy, who has, that's never wavered. Like, his belief in me has never wavered, which I thank him a lot for, and I hope he knows that. But playing basketball at a professional level in that environment, closer to family, like, then college kind of fell out the window, and it wasn't even something that I was looking towards anymore. I think as well, like how I looked at it, if you do go to college, you come back. I'm not athletic. I'm 5'7". Like, I don't know. I joke about it all the time, but like I'm not hot property kind of. So like for Kennedy to see that in me from such an early age, I felt like my best development would have come then, as opposed to maybe spending 4 or 5 years at college, coming back and then going through that. I feel like it's just a good opportunity to jump at straight away when I was 18 years old.
Do you think that's a stylistic thing with your game style as well? Because, obviously in the US, obviously not all college athletes come from America, hence why there's been so many Aussies doing that as well. But they sort of come out of the womb 6 feet tall. So do you think that stylistically that made more sense there with what you're talking about and sort of Kennedy's coaching and direction there?
Yeah, I think so for sure. I also just enjoy the Australian brand of basketball. Even like international basketball interests me a lot. I love watching it, so I obviously love playing that style. I didn't think America and American basketball and how they play was ever really the right fit for me. it definitely would have been a cool experience and something I was willing to explore at that time. But this just kind of topped all of that. And yeah, like Kennedy's style of play, and he loves he gives you a lot of freedom. He loves players that are creative, which is kind of what I've had to be since I'm 5'7" and unathletic. You kind of have to work on things that separate you from everyone else, and make up for those. I don't know, like if you see someone who's 6 foot with a 6'4" wingspan, obviously you're gonna look at them. But yeah, I just had to find those things, and being creative and crafty was kind of something that separated me from everyone else.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't have a growth chart to hand, so I'm not going to challenge you on the 5'7" thing. But I'm going to challenge you on the unathletic, because you don't make it as far as you have so far without having some athleticism of some description. So I will challenge you on that. But I just want to quickly go back. So I'm not sure if this is the right term. Again, still trying to feel my way around things here at the moment. But you've been a mainlander now, essentially, for quite some time. I won't say that you have become one, because that's quite deeply offensive to your background. But tell us about basketball in Tassie and sort of that. You kind of alluded to a little bit when you're talking about Ballarat, but just sort of that sort of sense of community and spirit. We've seen amongst the elite sport now, whether it's basketball, whether it's football, people really rallying behind this cause of Tasmanian sport. Tell us a little bit about sport in Tasmania and your experiences.
Yeah, no, I think as you can see, they absolutely love it down there. The football team more recently, but even the Jack Jumpers, they had a lot of success. But I think even in their lesser successful years, like they've still had sold out games nearly, every home game. Fans travel to watch them play. Like they just absolutely love it, and I think it is that sense of belonging, yeah, but like sense of pride. A lot of people that go down and play for Tasmania, like they feel that pride, whether they're Tasmanian or not. And you just want to represent to the best of your ability. And I do find similarities with that and both Bendigo and Ballarat, which I think is why I favour them so much. I think it is just that pride piece, because you really feel it. And even when you go to games as a fan, like my mum is the biggest Jack Jumpers fan ever, and she absolutely
Really
loves it. Yeah, absolutely loves it. She'll want Scott Ross for president or something.
I don't think she's alone there. I think he actually got, so he might be closer to that than you think. I think he got some government job or something like that recently. So, so your mum's, I don't want to say dreams, but your mum's wishes might be coming true. He might be finding a way in the office there, here. So, just lastly on that, like, again, this is where I age myself on the podcast, but, I remember growing up and seeing teams like Hobart in the NBL, Anthony Stewart, like those likes, and then all of a sudden they're not there. Like there's always been sort of like that lack of stability. It seems like now you talk about the Jack Jumpers, the Jewels coming in. It seems like there is a bit more of a commitment now from the governing bodies to have a real meaningful presence there in Tassie. How important do you think it is for Tassie to have their own WNBL side and having the Jewels enter the competition?
Yeah, no, I think it's awesome, and I honestly can't see it not being a long term thing, kind of like the Jack Jumpers. And I think from everything that I've heard, they're gonna model themselves quite similarly to what the Jackies have done. So I can't see it being anything short term, which is again awesome for Tasmania and even kids growing up in Tasmania to know that there's a pathway and there is an opportunity to play at the highest level in your home state. That's what you kind of dream of as kids. So, I think it'll definitely be a long-term thing, and it's awesome that it's got so much support from the community and from the government, like you said.
And just quickly, mum's loyalties. If there is a WNBL side, you said she's a big Jack Jumpers fan. Do you think she still has some space for the Bendigo jersey there as well? Is that state versus family there all of a sudden?
Yeah, I think as long as I'm over here, there'll always be a Bendigo jersey there. But she's a super fan, that's for sure.
That's awesome. I love to hear that, because we often talk about The parents being the real bedrock of the stories that we get to hear from yourself and your fellow athletes, because they're the ones who have put in some hard yards to get you to where they've been. Why don't you share how important they were for your journey, and give them a bit of a shout out and some love here on the show?
Yeah, no, I think I honestly owe everything to my parents. They've done so much for me and my brothers. It's really hard to put into words, and I think since my injury, I think even beforehand I was a pretty good reflector, but since the injury, I've had even more time to reflect, and that's definitely been something that's kept popping up for me, is just my parents and how giving they were. We didn't always have everything growing up, but they made sure we had as much as possible. And I think that's kind of something that they grew up with as well. Like, they were just such big givers, of anything, and never expected anything in return. And I feel like me and my siblings have kind of inherited that from them as well, which I'm really proud of, and I hope, they're proud of that as well. But yeah, I honestly can't thank them enough. I love them. I love them so much.
That's really beautiful. Thank you for sharing it. And that's, I think there's, I don't think sometimes we get a chance to show our parents the love that they need there, and they've earned. So no, thank you for sharing that. That was really lovely. Let's switch gears to Kennedy, and let's talk about being a developmental player on a WNBL list. Now, I've had this conversation a couple of times, but I'm always eager to hear different perspectives on sort of, first and foremost, what it's like to get that call and to get that opportunity in the WNBL, to learn from not only great coaching staffs, but obviously some great players, especially, I mean, you look at some of the stacked squads you've been part of. Tell us a little bit about getting that call and what that means to get that opportunity first and foremost as a DP.
Yeah, I think pretty surreal. Like, that's the first word that comes to mind. You don't quite believe it, because, like I mentioned before, it was something that felt so far away for so long, and something you kind of talked about, but you kind of fluffed around because you didn't know if it happened or not. So you just skimmed by it. But yeah, that call, I remember I was with my mum in the lounge room, and getting that phone call. I was so nervous. So I was just pacing up and down the fireplace. But yeah, I couldn't believe it. And like I said before, Kennedy's belief in me has never wavered. And I think that's given me a lot of confidence to feel like I belong. And whilst it hasn't quite shown in minutes and output in WNBL, I've definitely felt my improvement over the past 4 years. And I think those 2 years as a development player were really crucial in that. And yeah, like you said, Kennedy, amazing. But the players that I've played with and teammates I've had during those 4 years it's unreal, and I honestly still can't believe it to this day.
It's honestly the Australian Basketball Hall of Famers you've played alongside so far, and I'm talking about some, not predictions there's some spoilers for people later on down the path that's going to happen. So I'm always keen to hear about what people learn from being a DB, but before we get there, I'm intrigued again on your perspective on what your role is. So what do you see as a effective DP for the sake of the team and the squad there? What do you think a DP has to bring to the table, not just what they're going to receive?
Yeah, yep. I think you have to be willing. Your number might not get called ever, but I also think our leaders did a great job at emphasizing this when I was a DP, so I really felt the value of being a development player. It's the learning, first of all. It's a massive adjustment and a massive jump from NBL1 to go to a WNBL environment, especially away from home. That was my first time leaving my family as well. But you're around pros every day. It was just such a big jump. And something I was a pretty big observer, not a massive communicator, but a really big observer, especially my first year. And then as I entered my second year as a DP, you get a bit more confident, naturally, a bit more comfortable, probably more so than confident.
Yep.
But yeah, you showing up at training, you giving your absolute all at training. You might be in scout team, so you might go from not training at all one day to the next day you got to be like the starting point guard on a scout team training, and you got to be willing to like just show up, expect the unexpected, but like always work hard. Like always work hard. I say that's a non-negotiable, and people recognize you, like how you come to work and how you show up at the gym and how you show up at the games every day. It's not just one training or 2 minutes in a game that's going to determine your spot in the team. It's every day. And I think I was lucky enough that I learnt that quite early on, which has probably set me up for where I am now.
That's brilliant. And it's always interesting to see what you have to bring to that role rather than just obviously the wealth of experience that you're going to get from it. I just want to quickly rewind to something there. You mentioned being on a scout team. For those who may not have been inside a practice or that understanding, what can you tell us a little bit of what a scout training is? Like, do you have to sort of assume the plays or the roles of the players that you're going to be going up against in the coming week?
Yeah, for sure. I think at the specific training or training block I was talking about, we probably had 15 as the training squad. So it was like starting five, your bench five, and then it was a combination of development players and training players who would act as the opposition team. So the coaches would have individual like personnel and then team offenses that you would go through as the scout team. And you try and execute that to the best of your ability. So one day you might, like I said, be the starting point guard and you're trying to shoot the ball every time you get it, or the next time they might have a pass first point guard, so you're trying to like initiate offense. But honestly, even that in itself and like understanding the game and the different roles within the game, I think that was really helpful for me as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it sounds like a basketball Dungeons and Dragons there from the sound of it there in terms of like role playing and getting into other characters. But you're right, you probably learn more from having to emulate that style. Before we leave those sort of formative years at Bendigo, was there any, I know it's sometimes hard to single out, but was there any person or persons that really took you under their wing, given that what you mentioned before there, that was your first time really away from family? Is there anyone that you can recall really sort of saying, cool, come learn by me or look after you, that sort of thing?
100%. Honestly, I feel really lucky because I've had such great teammates the past 4 years. Like, I know not everyone can say that, and I genuinely am so thankful that I've had such great environments, and some of my best friends are, part of the teams that I've been on. But KG, I lived with her my first 2 years there. I played with her in Launceston for NBL1, which is kind of how we knew each other. And then, when Kennedy gave me the call, she was like, you'll come and live with her and her partner, which was absolutely amazing. And I'm actually living with them ever since I did my ACL. I'm back living with them in Bendigo, which has been unreal. But KG's been, it's honestly so hard to put into words because she's been such a great role model for me. And now she's like such a great friend of mine. So I feel really lucky to have had her and her partner Erin. They both took me under their wing, which is awesome.
It's I didn't know you were going to say that, but it seems as like at times that KG and Erin have been the unofficial recruiting team of Bendigo as well. So it does make a lot of sense that was the answer, because it's like but it all, if you keep on putting the numbers in and they come to the same result, that obviously the maths might be right. So so we're talking about time being a DP, and I want to talk about, in the intro I mentioned WNBL Champion. So you've got a championship ring. Tell us a little bit about that season, because that was a very special season. That Bendigo Spirit team, we probably won't see too many more like the likes of that side.
Yeah, it was so crazy to be a part of. I think obviously I didn't have much influence on the game on court that season. In terms of games, obviously at trainings and stuff, I'd do my best to push BB and try and get the bench squad up and about. But you're going up against BB, Sammy, KG, Tolo, Kelly. It was crazy, but
VB was the most improved player in the WNBA the immediate season after.
I know.
So a bit of talent, a bit
I
of
know.
talent to have to be trying to like work with and against at training.
Yeah, I know. I honestly learned so much from her. She's easily one of my favourite teammates ever and one of my favourite players to watch still. It's so cool to see her smashing it over there. But yeah, that whole season was just super surreal. I think our leaders again that year did a great job of emphasizing that like 1 through 15, everyone is valued and everyone matters, and you know those things don't happen unless everyone is bought in, and you have to be selfless. Like Abby was coming off the bench at that stage and she's easily a starter on any team, but she sacrificed because that's what the team needed, right? And we just had so many people like that could let, you know, Sammy go and do her thing, which was, again, unreal to watch. But, yeah, that season was just so enjoyable. And one of my highlights is when we won up in Townsville, we were at a pub or something and we were all sitting around in a massive circle with some of our supporters and family, and we just went around the circle and everyone said something, you know, about the win and what it meant to them and the group. And yeah, it was just something that I'll remember forever. And yeah, I just can't believe I got a championship to my name.
I feel as though I've been challenging you throughout our, you know, completely casual chat, but I'll challenge you on that as well. In terms of you said you didn't feel like you did much, but you obviously were rewarded with I don't say rewarded, but you know, you earned a full contract as well, you know, through your work. So I'm going to challenge you on that again. But anyway, that's just me being a stickler for pumping up people. It's interesting you mentioned like you know, being a WNBL champion, because that's like for a lot of people that's the dream, that's the pinnacle, that's it, that's goal number one. And not saying that in a disparaging way in any way to any people. Some people go, look, I've got dreams of doing this, or I want to be a WNBL player, I want to be a WNBL champion. But the thing is, 23, obviously coming back from a serious injury, but how does that affect any sort of goal setting that you make? I mean, this may be skewed through the rehab and recovery, but how does that affect your goal setting when you've already accomplished, you know, the pinnacle team accomplishment in the elite league in the country?
I honestly think it just makes you hungrier for more. Like at no point, was I ever like, oh yeah, that'll do me, I'm done now. I also think that I can be on a team that can win and I have a lot more input on the floor. Like I think that would, like it was unreal to win that one. But and you do feel part of it and you feel like you helped to get there. But I think it would almost mean a lot more to be part of a team that, you know, I really helped on the floor get the job done. And I think like when I come back, I'll be 24. Hopefully, so much left to play for. But yeah, winning one just makes you want to win too. And we're pretty, like KG does a good job at Bendigo to keep us really process focused. So it's not all outcomes based. And normally when you take care of the process, they're the most enjoyable seasons. And if you're lucky, you win a championship. But I think something that she's definitely taught me is, you know, the outcome, if it happens, that's amazing. But like last season, for example, one of my favorite seasons ever. Like the group that we had was awesome. Some of my favorite people, my best mates, are on that team. And yeah, that probably goes 1 and 2 with that championship year. So as much as it is about winning, it's also a lot more than that.
It's such a good point. I mean, if you look at the WNBL season, you know, every year there's going to be now 8 teams that don't win the championship.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Not every team can win the championship every year. That's not how it works. And you can't just say the season's not successful or positive or things have come out of it because you didn't get that. Obviously, that's the goal, but it's a really good point. And again, some wise words from KG. I think, you know, the amount of times that have been said by many people, I think, you know, if there was a dollar jar, KG would probably be a quadrillionaire. But now from here, the next steps, sort of alluded to it there in terms of, you know, playing again, you'd be 24. So there's still some work to be done, obviously.
Yeah.
So where do you see sort of the next sort of touch points? What's the next steps there for your recovery and getting back onto the court?
Yeah, I think, like I mentioned earlier, we're trying to be a bit loose with our time frames, not putting too much pressure on meeting certain criteria in the space of time. But honestly, I'm tracking really well at the moment, and I've been lucky enough not to have any pain or swelling or whatnot to set me back or let me plateau for a while. But yeah, like talking with Tolo, who's obviously done her fair share of ACLs, she's been really helpful for me as well. But she talks about this, 3 to 6 months where you actually feel good, but you're not allowed to do anything else. So I reckon this might be my the period where I probably struggle the most, because it's not that consistent progression every day that I was getting before. And yeah, it's the hard part where you want to do more and you feel like you can do more, but you're not allowed to. But in saying that, I'm just grateful to be doing more than what I was, this time in February when I was, bedridden for 2 weeks or whatever that looked like.
Yeah. I think the fact that you already have recognised that there's going to be those moments probably puts you in really good stead.
Yeah.
Because, sometimes it's the not knowing and then all of a sudden to be blindsided by it. So, I mean, not to say that, not to be doom and gloom, we're definitely glass half full, but there's going to be still tough days and weeks to come. Yeah. And I think having that awareness is great. And again, a sign of the strength and maturity that I spoke about earlier. A quick sidetrack. How adorable is Mini Tolo?
I know. So cute. She's so cute. She's like giving point guard at the moment, but I reckon she'll turn out for sure.
She's got some pretty good genes there. So I think there's still a few growth spurts to come there. But of course, congrats to Tolo and Dan. Great people, and Tolo's been a pal on the show a couple of times and always giving with her time. So I know that from my experiences with Tolo, she's going to be a wonderful mother as a wonderful human being. So congrats to both Tolo and Dan. Let's go to the final three that we do for the season of Hey Pal Radio. So 3 quick fire ones there to wrap us up and bring us to the home stretch there. I mean, I say quick fire. I'm just going to throw in quick fire. You can elaborate as much as you want. We haven't got any producers on this show. This is all loosey-goosey stuff. It's like a rehab. But so the one thing I know that your family is sports mad. We've got an insight into that at the moment. But I'm always curious for professional athletes. Is there a team from another code that you follow or, are obsessed with, or maybe that's too strong a word, but follow. Let's go with follow.
Geelong Cats, for sure. For sure.
It's been nice chatting to you. That's fine.
Cut off.
Cut off. No, tell us about Geelong. Tell us about the Cats fandom.
Well, my dad goes for Carlton. Not ideal for him at the moment, but me and my twin brother, we were both forced pretty much to be Carlton growing up, and then my dad's brother, so my uncle, bought me a Geelong Guernsey, and then game over. I was a Geelong fan ever since, so pretty happy with how that turned out, to be honest.
Well, there's definitely a lot more championships, we're talking basketball, but a lot more premierships in your lifetime. I'm actually more mad at your dad than you at the moment, given recent football results. Hey, look, we dated the podcast, which I said we weren't going to do. But yes, no, there's not too many better teams to follow in terms of success rates there. So I think you owe your uncle quite a heavy debt of gratitude there.
Actually, yeah.
Any favourite players or moments you can think of in your fandom?
Ooh, my first Guernsey was Jimmy Bartell, so number 3. So I mean, Bailey Smith's a pretty good number 3 as well. I'm not happy with that. Not happy with that answer.
No, not happy with that at all. But we were. I thought we were friends. It's quick sidetrack. Not to derail this, and I'm not even sure this will make the cut. But I just you probably need to look half a second and know that I'm a big Bulldogs fan. But I just remember the vitriol that came when Bailey Smith decided to go to Geelong, obviously coming off an ACL as well. But the thing I always found, and maybe it's the benefit of age, but I was like, why are so many people getting so mad that a young person wanted to change jobs?
Yeah.
So they just want to change their workplace. Like, I don't know. So I'm actually quite a fan of Bailey Smith. I think, as with any human, can do a few and say a few silly things, but I think for the most part, great player. Great player to watch.
Yeah.
Jimmy Bartel, Bailey Smith. Have you been to any of the premierships live?
I actually haven't been to any, but I also I don't know why I like football so much. Like Isaac Heaney is also one of my favourite players.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do like watching the Bulldogs as well. I don't really know how I'm a big fan. I think it just because it was always on the TV growing up. I'm invested now.
Yeah. No, it's a good time. Good time to be. There's always a good time to be a Geelong fan, but I'm going to shame you for the fact that I've been to more Geelong premierships than you have. But let's move on, because otherwise people always get mad at me when I talk football on a basketball podcast. Have you got a nickname? If so, what is it, and can you share how you got it?
Well, my nickname is Magic at basketball because it was like Mike, and then Abby, the genius that she is, started calling me Magic. So now everyone around basketball calls me Magic or Mike or Noodle. A lot of my family call me Noodle.
Nice.
Couldn't see why. Yeah.
It just came about, one of those random names that come around as you grow up.
Me and my cousins, when we were younger, we just decided to give each other nicknames, and that was mine.
Nice. And of course, Abby's great at naming living things. She's got 70 animals at her wildlife sanctuary, so that makes a lot of sense that she came up with a nickname. And finally, is there a particular number that you always like to try and get on your jersey? And if so, what was the thinking behind that, or the history behind that?
Yeah, 5 is definitely, growing up it was 4, and now it's 5. That was my first number professionally, like with the WNBL. So there's 5 of us in our family, so that was kind of the key to it. But also my mum wore 5 growing up, so yeah, definitely an important number to me for sure.
That's awesome. Well, also it's awesome to hear from you, and awesome to hear that things that are going really well. I said to you before we recorded that I try not to bother you and any player really on game day, because I kind of always of the thought that you're in work mode. So it's been great to have this chat and to get to know a little bit more behind yourself as a person, and rather than just the tremendous athlete you are on the court. So thank you so much for your time, not only today, but all the best in the recovery going forward, and can't wait to see you kicking goals with both feet and back on the court there, wherever they might lay when you're on the healthy trail.
No, thank you. I appreciate that so much. Thank you.
That brings us to the ending of this episode of Hey Power Radio. Thank you so much to Micah for her time and what was a wonderful conversation. It was great to hear a perspective of such a wide gamut of emotions, and privileged to hear about balancing all things showing up, even when it's hard. And speaking of hard times, player movement is happening both positively and negatively. I do try to keep a positive outlook, and I think it's at times you get so wrapped up in the great parts of the game and its athletes. I know that I personally do forget that it's big business too. I mean, Dr. Morgan and the team at my old campus from an incomplete sport management degree are probably more disappointed in me now. That said, I won't hide disappointment and emotion when it does come. We're human. It comes with wanting our favourites, friends, and family to do well. And I think, genuinely, a decent person wants all people to do well with respect and opportunity. So, without harping too much on it, with increased exposure, support, attention, and money coming into the women's hoops game, I do hope that the WNBA teams, and elite organisations around the world find the path to having their contract setups, support networks, and structures modernised with the times in a way that treats its athletes like humans, not commodities. I thank you to you, our magnificent listening viewership. Your support has been wonderful, and I really do appreciate the kind messages we've received, the shares, and the engagement. a reminder, our 50th episode is arriving soon from over the horizon. So that big 50 is going to be a celebration. And if there's somebody you'd like to hear from or something you'd like to see us do for that celebration, please let us know in the comments below. If you have the time and would like to, a simple share, comment, like, or rating on your preferred podcast service keeps boffins happy, and it does help to expand our reach for these tremendous stories and conversations. But until next time, it's Eric McFarlane here wishing you all the very best, happy hoops, and we'll see you down the road. Bye, pals.
Hey, pal.